Children are wonderful. Each child is a masterpiece of nature with a destiny that defies imagination. The intelligence, moral reasoning, and innate talents that humans develop to maturity make every one of us an embryonic God with the power of affecting the world in countless ways. It is a divine gift to be born human, but with this gift come responsibilities that call for the greatest love and the highest wisdom. Living with our mortal bodies means walking by faith. We may fall often. Sometimes we fall hard. But when we lift ourselves up and persist in pressing forward, we earn the right to enjoy all that this world has to give. Hope is our spiritual compass. We cannot fail if we believe in ourselves and follow the path marked by the best that mankind ever produced. We have friends and family along the way to guide us and encourage us. It is therefore our duty to care for those who lag behind. This is especially true in caring for children handicapped by the injustices of life. Consider where you might be and who you might be had you been born under very different circumstances, or what family you were born into. Families shape our personal identities and provide opportunities for progress that are often taken for granted. A child born into poverty has limited options, not because he or she chooses to be disadvantaged, but because the social environment does not provide the same resources and opportunities available to a child born into a prosperous situation. Poverty. What a difficult concept it is to comprehend. But poverty is not merely a thought or opinion. It is a painful reality experienced by the vast majority of the world's inhabitants every hour of every day. To a child born into poverty, it is felt as a constant gnawing in the stomach that cries out for food. It is often endured through bouts of diarrhea and other illnesses that inflict the young body through infection and malnutrition. To the child's parents, poverty is about not having enough money with which to buy adequate food, medicine, or other necessities. The work that these parents perform is long and hard, and the pay is meager. There is never sufficient money to take care of all the pressing needs. The child, however, has no understanding of these needs. The child only wants to eat and to play. But his parents cannot afford the luxury of play. They struggle to stay alive and to keep their families intact. But the unrelenting stresses of poverty ensure that violence becomes part of their social vocabulary. Poverty compounds violence. A parent overwhelmed by worry, fear, and frustration has less patience for a cranky child. Anger is acted out in many ways. It is the brutality of the powerful against the weak. Children, being both weak and vulnerable, are the inevitable recipients of this violence. They don't know why their parents are angry, or why they inflict painful punishments, or why they are forced to work long hours. Such behavior is as natural to them as their aching stomachs, or the cold nights they shiver through. They do not anticipate a more comfortable life because there are no options other than constant misery. But as a child grows old enough to think and act for himself, the prospect of going elsewhere becomes a possibility. There comes a point at which daily abuse proves intolerable, and he or she is then willing to encounter the unknown cruelties of strangers. That is how some children end up on the street. But there are many other ways. Parents die or disappear for other reasons. Step-parents come in who seem to derive malicious enjoyment in inflicting emotional, physical, or sexual abuse. But the greatest psychic harm to a child comes in knowing that he or she is not wanted. Such children are the walking dead, for they never receive from their parents the divine sense of worth and purpose to which every person is entitled. Worse, they are held responsible for the frustrations of the parents. Many children are regarded as unwanted burdens, bastard sons and daughters. They are made to feel this guilt every day in countless ways. Love is withheld from them, and with this betrayal comes the denial of hope and dignity. A child without love is a stunted soul, forever crying out for affections that are never given. Abandoned children are not nurtured in the ways of kindness and compassion, so they mirror the unhealthy behaviors they observe, often making themselves into the same monsters as their parents. Violence begets violence in a never-ending cycle. Some abused children discover the power of cruelty, which leads them then down a path of sorrow and doom. But not all abused children are inclined towards anger and revenge. Many simply bear their tragedy in silence. This is especially true for children born with physical or mental disabilities that place an undue burden upon the capacities of the family to provide for. Such children waste away in hidden rooms where their cries are easier to ignore. They are the runts of the family, left to wither and starve, or to spend their days on sidewalks begging for coins. In countries of the developing world, it is not uncommon for some parents with too many mouths to feed to take their oldest child to the city and leave him there on his own. Some desperate parents sell their children into prostitution or into slavery to pay off debts. Poor children are victims of the most heinous cruelties. Hopelessness knows no limits when the sanctity of life has been crossed. Oh, what a difference it makes to be born into a family capable of properly providing for its offspring, where love encourages play and growth, and where the bright promises of hope are abundant. Such persons have the freedom of choosing who and what to become. Stark necessity does not hamper their search for meaning, growth, and service. But how sad it is when some in the privileged class become blind to the perils endured by their less advantaged brothers and sisters. How little they realize that with citizenship comes caring for the destitute. Apathy and indifference stand in the way of transforming a soul into its greatest potentiality. Love at Work embraces the sacred power of service. It draws its mission from the words of an ancient prophet who proclaimed that when ye are in the service of your fellow beings, ye are only in the service of your God. It applies the love of Christ in helping the poorest of the poor. Love at Work laments the tragedy of wasted lives, especially those of children victimized by cruelty and exploitation, those who do not enjoy the benefits of normal development. Street children fall into this category. There are 100 million of them worldwide, with 40 million in Latin America. They are adolescents with few options in life other than prostitution, street crime, and involvement with gangs. Life on the street is unbelievably hard and dehumanizing. They scavenge from the garbage and sleep in sewers. They are ostracized by the community and persecuted by the police. Worst of all, they are preyed upon by criminals and child molesters. Their lives are short and wretched. That is why many people regard them as throwaway kids. No child should be destined to such a fate. Given half a chance, many street kids are capable of escaping their circumstances. Possessed of resilience, tenacity, and street smarts, they are capable of overcoming great obstacles. Street children need positive role models and opportunities for drug rehabilitation. They need education and job skill training. Most street kids are children in search of a better future, but they remain blind until advocates and mentors come to their rescue. Then, guided by the light of love, they are capable of transforming themselves into the competent individuals that others deny them the right of becoming. They can blossom and even excel, for they are already masters in dealing with adversity. Fortunately, there are heroic men and women throughout the world who reach down to these children and provide them with the tools of successful living. Advocates are rare individuals who dedicate their lives to rescuing children abandoned by their parents and by society. Empowered by hope, advocates illuminate the way for street kids to achieve success in life. In Mexico and in Colombia, Love at Work is collaborating with several advocates and shelters to find solutions toward the redemption of street children. Rehabilitating children from crime and addiction is certainly not an easy task, but anything is possible when done with love. Shelters offer opportunities for receiving effective therapies They provide public education and job skill training. Such development is bolstered by programs of athletics and micro-enterprise. Rather than merely putting band-aids on very deep wounds, these shelters prepare children for adulthood as good citizens and loving parents. In each shelter, daily miracles are witnessed as homeless youth go from hopeless despair to lives of achievement. The principle is simple. What goes around comes around. As street children make the transition from despair to success, they learn how to help others in similar circumstances. By mentoring others, they lift themselves out of the gutter. Love at Work's strategy for rescuing street children is a pay-it-forward plan of social peer mentoring. We call it the Streetlights program because to a person in spiritual darkness, any light is a signal of hope. Advocates and mentors are powerful beacons of hope. But adolescents respond even more quickly to others like themselves who have overcome similar problems. As street kids are given the ladders to lift them out of addiction, crime, and poverty, they become guides for other youth seeking to be free. Every child needs help in becoming who or she should become. Impacted children require more help and attention than others. Street kids love those who treat them as fellow human beings. Respect and trust provide moral incentives for forward progress. The 3 T's of service can make you part of their recovery. T1, time. Find the time to come along on a humanitarian service project and meet the kids for yourself. You will love them, and the experience will change your life. T2, talent. What can you do to mentor or help a street child? Your knowledge can be the key to enabling a youngster to make the critical transition. Or you can support Love at Work in becoming a world-class organization that will rescue thousands of street kids. T3, treasure. More commonly regarded as money, treasure also includes all of the other resources that can be shared to accomplish a greater goal. What do you possess that can make a big difference? As you investigate the worthiness of our mission, we invite you to share more generously of your means. What you get back may be greater than what you give.